Hello, I'm Janice Karen, Director of Policy, Technology, and Innovation at the Massachusetts Health Data Consortium, or MHDC. I run our Data Governance Collaborative, also known as the DGC. We start each of our weekly meetings with a series of industry quick updates to learn about new and proposed regulations, laws, standards, industry initiatives, and other activity. Join us for this week's updates. If you'll go to the next slide. So there's a new joint proposed rule from the Treasury Department, the Labor Department, and HHS on mental health parity requirements. Comments to the proposed rule are due on October 2nd, and it includes 5. I have not had a chance, literally came out. It came out last week, but I literally found it yesterday and have not had a chance to review it in excruciating detail yet. But the major provisions are that are supposedly stricter requirements around parity between mental health and substance use disorder benefits and medical and surgical benefits. They are also looking for parity in terms, and that's not just for what's covered, but also in terms of requirements for prior authorization or utilization management, network composition requirements, and all the things that are, all of the requirements that are placed on a health plan are supposed to have parity between mental health and physical health providers. And they're providing some examples around that in some of the areas that are not strictly what's covered. They're also going to require the collection and evaluation of outcomes data and actions based on that to address material differences in the benefits. And they're going to have require meaningful comparative analyses to measure the impact of NQTLs, basically all the different stuff that we were talking about: network composition, out-of-network reimbursement rates, prior authorization, all of the other components that make up what's part of a plan need to be compared and to ensure parity. And then there had been some provisions that allowed certain types of payers to opt out of a previous law that covered mental health parity, and those provisions were sunsetted in the last budget bill. So this is implementing that sunsetting as well. I haven't had a chance to read much more, but I can try to answer any questions if anyone has any, or feel free to share your thoughts.
Well, I'm just surprised to learn only today that it didn't already fall under the Mental Health Parity Act.
I think it did, but people were not, I don't think it was actually happening in a really enough way.
You do another act rather than enforce the existing one?
No, this is not another act. This is a rule to.
A rule, I see, okay.
So, right, so the legislation passes.
Yeah.
And then you have the rules that implement it, right?
Yeah.
So this is another rule to impose, to better implement the act,
which is 15 years old, so it,
and apparently still has problems.
Interesting.
Or at least so say these agencies. And I would bet, based on what they focus on here, that they feel like perhaps the actual coverage is more or less in line, not 100%, but not terrible. But that where a lot of the issues lie are in things like what requires prior auths or network composition and things like out-of-network reimbursement in those areas, those secondary areas that are important. But that, I think that my take from what they focused on in the introduction of the NPRM, which is all I've read so far, and where these bullet points come from, that introduction, is that, reading between the lines there, this is going to be much more focused on the composition, the prior authorization, the out-of-network reimbursement, all of those types of things than it is the actual coverage. But I'll have to see when I actually read the entire rule. But any other thoughts, comments? All right, well, and let's go on to the next slide if you'll pause there. I hope you learned a lot from our one quick update this week. If you're interested in finding out more about the DGC and its other activities, email me at dgc@myhealthdata.org. That email address is also on your screen.